1. Alcohol addiction. Think of your brain as hosting a party where alcohol is like the guest who livens things up. Initially, it boosts dopamine and enhances GABA, making you feel relaxed and sociable. But as the party continues night after night, the brain starts needing more alcohol to keep the mood up. It becomes dependent, expecting this guest to show up regularly. If alcohol isn't present, the party turns into a nightmare of withdrawal symptoms. Shakes, anxiety, and even depression can take hold. Over time, the constant presence of alcohol can wear out the body, damaging the liver, impairing brain function, and increasing the risk of cancers. 2. Tobacco, nicotine addiction. Nicotine rushes into the brain, releasing a flood of dopamine and adrenaline, which feels like a mini euphoria and relaxation wrapped into one. It's a quick fix for stress, a momentary uplift. However, as nicotine becomes a regular guest, your brain adjusts, dampening its own natural ability to relax and uplift itself without chemical help. This leads to increased use, higher tolerance, and severe withdrawal symptoms like irritability and anxiety when trying to quit. Long-term use risks devastating health consequences, including lung cancer, heart disease, and stroke. 3. Drug addiction, illegal or prescription. Whether it's the high of illegal drugs or the pain relief from prescription meds, these substances hack the brain's reward system, often by overstimulating the production of dopamine. This creates intensive pleasure or relief, making the brain crave the drugs just to feel normal. But this high comes at a cost. Increased tolerance, intense physical dependence, and a life often centered around the drug. Withdrawal can be painful and sometimes dangerous, and long-term use can lead to life-altering physical and psychological damage. 4. Caffeine addiction. Caffeine acts like a decoy in the brain, blocking sleep-inducing chemicals and keeping you alert. It's the kick that wakes you up and keeps you going. But as your system gets used to caffeine, you need more of it to chase away tiredness. If you try to stop, the real tiredness hits you like a wall, along with headaches and irritability. Though not as destructive as some other addictions, caffeine dependency can disrupt sleep patterns and cause anxiety. 5. Gambling addiction. Gambling can start as a harmless flutter, a bit of fun. But for some, the stakes get higher as the brain becomes hooked on the rush associated with the risk and the possibility of a big win. Each gamble can flood the brain with dopamine, blurring the line between fun and a desperate need to keep betting. This addiction can lead to significant financial loss, strained relationships, and a profound impact on mental health. 6. Food addiction. Food, especially that high in sugar, fat, and salt, can trigger an almost drug-like response in the brain. Eating these foods leads to a surge of dopamine, making you feel momentarily happy and satisfied. However, as with other substances, the more often you use food to feel good, the more food you need to get the same effect. This cycle can lead to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, not to mention the emotional toll of relying on food for comfort. 7. Sex addiction. Sexual activity releases a cascade of chemicals in the brain, including dopamine, which enhances the pleasure and emotional connection. When sex becomes a compulsion, it's often an attempt to escape emotional pain or fill a void, leading to risky behaviors and damaging consequences. Relationships can suffer, and the individual's overall well-being can be compromised. 8. Internet addiction. Today's digital world is designed to be addictive. The internet provides endless streams of instant gratification, from likes on social media to victories in online games. But when online engagement starts taking precedence over real-life interactions, it can lead to social isolation, anxiety, and depression. The compulsive need to be online can disrupt sleep, work, and relationships. 9. Shopping addiction. Shopping can be more than just an errand. It can be a thrill. Buying new things can release dopamine, providing a feeling of reward and even euphoria. However, when shopping becomes a way to cope with emotional needs, it can spiral into a cycle of buying, remorse, and more buying. This can lead to financial problems, clutter, and personal distress. 10. Video game addiction. Video games offer escapism, excitement, and the satisfaction of achievements, all of which can be highly addictive. They can create a compelling virtual reality that often offers more immediate rewards than real life. But excessive gaming can lead to neglect of personal health, real-world responsibilities, and social relationships. 11. Work addiction, workaholism. In our success-driven society, working hard can be seen as a virtue. But when work becomes an addiction, it's all about the rush from overcoming challenges and the fear of failing. This can lead to burnout, health issues, and neglected personal relationships. The brain craves the validation that comes from success, often at the expense of everything else. 12. Exercise addiction. Exercise can be addictive due to the runner's high, which involves a rush of endorphins and other feel-good chemicals. But when the pursuit of fitness goes beyond health into an obsession, it can be damaging. Excessive exercise can lead to injuries and an unhealthy focus on body image or performance, overshadowing other important aspects of life. 13. Social media addiction. Social media platforms are engineered to keep you scrolling, with notifications and updates providing constant new stimuli. Every like and comment sends a little burst of dopamine, rewarding your brain and encouraging continued engagement. Over time, this can lead to an unhealthy dependence on these digital interactions for emotional satisfaction. The addiction can cause significant distractions from daily tasks, diminished face-to-face interactions, and an increase in loneliness and depression, despite being constantly connected. 14. Love addiction. People with love addiction are addicted to the euphoric feelings associated with being in love. They often find themselves in a series of intense, short-lived romantic relationships, or they may cling to a single relationship despite it being unhealthy. This dependency on romantic attention and affection is driven by the brain's release of dopamine and oxytocin, making them feel blissfully complete. However, this can lead to emotional distress, low self-esteem, and neglect of other important aspects of life when these relationships inevitably hit rocky patches or end. 15. Pornography addiction. This addiction is characterized by compulsive engagement with erotic content despite negative consequences. Like drug addiction, pornography can alter the brain's reward system, necessitating increasingly frequent or extreme content to achieve the same high or escape. This can impair interpersonal relationships, lead to unrealistic expectations about sex, and create feelings of guilt or shame. It's a cycle of short-term gratification that can lead to long-term dissatisfaction and isolation.